quarterback.
Oh, there's a goal.
The road to the postseason is long and arduous, and September is the apex of such pursuits. Nothing screams of tension throughout the season like those final weeks where every game counts. The many teams pushing for playoff berths all have a story to tell, and why not start with last year's champions in the Boston Red Sox? It's been a disaster. The hitting core has been strong, but their pitching has been an on-mound ass birth. Their starting pitching has regressed dramatically, they lack a frontline closer, and the rest of their pitching has followed suit in the shit sandwich. You like Chris Sale and his struggles with the long ball? Have yourselves a season-ending injury killing all hope. While you waste the efforts of guys like Devers and Bogarts, the Red Sox are pissed at the results. Not even 11 months after winning the World Series, and technically still in the playoff chase, Dave Dombrowski was fired. Joey Cora's job may be in jeopardy as well. True, Dombrowski had some massive fuck-ups, and some of his awful contracts are part of the reason why Boston's dealing with this situation, but this soon? Even if it's knee-jerk as hell, this should be a message to the complacent organizations in this league. Accept nothing less than the best, especially when you have to see the Yankees take your shine. Oh yeah, the Yankees. A team that has dealt with an ungodly amount of injuries and setbacks, yet has enough conscripted labor to undo the damage. Even better, they have some key cogs coming back. It's at this moment when the baseball gods would rather have them trade pieces instead of getting back to full strength. The price of having to deal with the devil. You want Severino back from injury? We demand Betances to take his place in purgatory. Giancarlo Stanton finally returning? This Domingo Germán is a nice find. It would be something if he decided to be a fucking idiot and prematurely end his season. And the most depressing all of this, if you're a Yankees fan, no one has sympathy for their plight. When you have a 100-win season, have scored over 900 runs and are synonymous with money and star power such as a side effect. The division is already theirs, but seeding is the remaining question this season. What else will happen to them before the playoffs? Their main rival for the top seed in the AL? The Houston Astros. Not much has changed on their front. They are dominating their opponents with a blend of potent hitting and outstanding pitching. When you conveniently add Zach Greinke and barely make a dent into the team depth, yeah. Alex Bregman has been on a torrid pace to lead the way. Yordan Alvarez still making his case for AL Rookie of the Year. Garrett Cole has emerged into a great pitcher and making everyone whiff with great ease. With 100 wins on the season, they have been nigh unstoppable. Unless they're playing Oakland. Billy Beane must have some magic powers that allows him to dominate them for some inane reason. At this point, it's just tuning up for the postseason. I'd think about getting first seed, but then you may have to play Oakland again. Not liking those recent trends there. The AL Central's still a neck-and-neck race, technically. Minnesota was making this uncomfortably close with Cleveland into August, but have gotten a bit more distance as of late. With a 4-game lead this late into the season should be sold, right? Well, the Twins haven't been making this easy. The bats have mostly been struggling, except for a handful. Luis Arraez and Mitch Garver have seized the means of production and are all but carrying this team on their back. The pitching has been alright, but not playoff worthy. Michael Pineda's been pretty good, but then he decided it was a good idea to be busted for PEDs again. They're getting by with the skin of their teeth, but barring a donut in terms of wins, they should make the postseason. Only if I could gauge how they'll do once they get there. Cleveland has some work to do to get to that point, however. On the surface, they seem alright, but it comes with a massive caveat. Most of their wins have been against weak opponents. When they have to play anyone good, they mostly buckle or worse. That's why they're hard for me to get behind at this point. You can lecture me about a ton of depth pieces stepping up to bail out the franchise, but your issue is on the mound. The Indians traded the wrong player. By shipping off Bauer, the hope was that Corey Kluber or Carlos Carrasco would step in to ease the pain. They have only delivered it. Carrasco overcame cancer to return to the bullpen, only to get pelted by baseballs in a cruel twist of fate. Kluber, on the other hand, just hasn't come back. He's still shut down and it's looking more and more like he won't return anytime soon. The real one who should have gone? Brad Hand. He's been a mess. Blowing leads like a birthday candle and then being taken out of commission like said burnt candle. Pitching depth has been an issue for the Indians all year long and it's apparently not stopping anytime soon. You need Lindor and Santana to return to form. You need it a lot more than you realize. Oakland's one team that wishes Cleveland would just stay down. Despite all the curveballs being thrown into their starting rotation, they're still humming along. I'll give it to them, they have some strong perseverance in the face of losing their top two pitchers. They at least got one of them back, and by God was it needed. Sean Manaea seems like he hasn't lost a step whatsoever, and his return will be a crucial asset to the wildcard game. Otherwise, Liam Hendricks has been quietly putting up dominating numbers and asserting himself as one of the top relievers in baseball. Even with the hitting core not being overly impressive, they have a well-balanced attack that can score hits in bunches. They are a very intriguing team moving forward. I just don't know if they have enough pitching to pull it off. Wait, when the hell did Homer Bailey get that good again? The final contestant in the AL, Tampa Bay. Despite their oft-publicized and much-maligned issues with attendance and potential relocations, the Rays themselves are still in the thick of the hunt. Their schedule is unique and it's tough on paper, but their opponents are either folding for the year or have already clinched division titles. And with a strong September, they aren't looking to stop. Like Oakland, they have a balanced attack and an unsung pitching core. Tyler Glasnow is back, but not at full strength just yet. Same goes for Blake Snell. I'd handle them carefully to make sure they're ready for anything in October. Charlie Morton will most likely be the starter for any wildcard game, but for any success to come their way, they will need Austin Meadows to continue his hot streak. I'd like to see A's versus Rays in the wildcard game. It'd be a great baseball matchup, which means it's probably not happening or will be a total blowout. The National League, unlike the AL, is still a total shit show. The only two teams that have set themselves in stone are the Dodgers and Braves. Atlanta, I must say, they look good. The hitting core, I argue, is World Series worthy. Threats and talent throughout the lineup and bench, with the gamble on Josh Donaldson paying off in spades. The bringer of rain surrounded by guys like Acuna, Freeman, and Albies is a nightmare for any opposing pitching staff. Speaking of which, the Braves pitching seems to have calmed down a bit. Adding arms like Melanson and Green have solidified the bullpen, but what the hell was this from Mike Fulton-Nevich? He's pitching like a damn ace this month. If Tehran can return to form, you have your starting rotation and a true threat. The Dodgers need no explanation. They, as usual, have been tearing through the California coastline, showing no mercy with their clutch bats and potent pitching arms. Once again, however, the glaring weakness that wasn't addressed at the deadline is still coming back to haunt them. The back end of the bullpen can still be seen as a liability. There are days where Kenley Jansen has it, and there are others where it's a total mess. With the hitting not as strong as it was earlier in the year, this could be a fatal flaw come playoff time. I would say you should have traded for Felipe Vasquez, but... glad you dodged that bullet, aren't you? There isn't much else that's wowing me in the NL. The Nationals at least have an inside track at a wildcard berth. Anthony Rendon is proving his case for a batting title and a gargantuan contract with a season for the ages. Things should be okay for them, but there's still the issue of the bullpen. Despite the quick fixes in an attempt to salvage it, they have only one, maybe two reliable arms. The rest are just pedestrian at best. That may be a compliment for this bunch, as they're actively hurting the team's chances. They've been quite mediocre in September, and they'll have to face the goddamn Phillies for 5 games, followed by Cleveland for 3. The schedule will be tough, and for any success, Washington will need their starters to go at least 7 innings a game. That's not conducive for success. Scherzer hasn't been Scherzer as of late, and Strasburg can't do it all. I'm afraid the Nats are in the second tier of teams. Sorry, boys. I will spare you the over-the-top Mets man impersonation for this segment. This team has earned some legitimate analysis for once. When you look at this team on paper, they should be competing for a division. A rock-solid hitting core, Pete Alonso leading the league in home runs, Jeff McNeil competing for a batting title, and excellent starting rotation. In a different situation, you could make the argument for them as a dark horse World Series contender. The thing is, the Mets' biggest issue is the Mets. They keep getting in their own damn way. Anytime they gain any sort of momentum, they'll piss it away by losing 6 straight to quality opponents. Anytime this team will give them hope, they just lose their mojo. Their bullpen is Seth Lugo and pretty much Seth Lugo. I've been thinking this for a while, but the Mets are a team that will finish a game or two out of a wildcard spot and be kicking themselves for it. And it's not September they'll be regretting. It's their June and early July, when they were blowing lead after lead with Ed Luz Diaz and company. You'll call it good, but I call it too little too late if they don't make it. What a shame. How in the literal fuck are the Phillies still in this conversation? I have never seen such trash infiltrate an allegedly good team in my goddamn life. To think a team could be so anti-clutch, so vehemently against any aspects of good baseball is beyond me. The work or lack thereof that Klentak and Kapler have done this year is grounds for firing the both of them. Pitching has been a major issue this year, so let's do little about it. Hector Narus isn't closing material, but guess who their best reliever is? Hector Narus. The hitting core disappointing as all hell. Where is Rhys Hoskins? Probably not on the baseball field. Then again, why is Sean Rodriguez given such a huge role? The fact that you're technically still in the wildcard hunt is a damning testament to how pathetic the National League has been this year. You wouldn't deserve to be in, but it would be vintage Philly to make it then be blown out in the wildcard game. I've spent more than enough time on them, now get out of the way. What a shocker, the NL Central hasn't been solved yet. Leading the way for now are the Cardinals. For a team that had an awful May and June, they brought out that wonderful pile of bullshit and spread it all over themselves. May I present to you in Technicolor the burgeoning ace of St. Louis, Jack Flaherty. Over the past few months, he's been putting up numbers that would make Cy Young himself proud. In early July, he had an ERA nearing 5. Now, it's under 3. He's ramped it up as of late, eating innings with an efficiency seen by few. Even Carlos Martinez hasn't been completely terrible as of late. The pieces are here for a shot in another bullshit World Series. The big challenge will be playing the Cubs for the majority of their remaining games, but if the pitching staff can keep it up, it will be a hell of a lot easier come playoff time. The Brewers are the next victims up. In a rather surprising plot twist, Milwaukee's pitching has rebounded to form. It's without Jeremy Jeffress, who was DFA'd direct reliever island, but others have taken his place. Drew Pomeranz has been sturdy. Brent Suter is back into the fold, same as Brandon Woodruff, which is huge for their rotation. With a cakewalk schedule in their midst, this should be a slam dunk for a playoff spot, right? Not really. Their hitting has gone ice cold. It's been one of the worst in baseball, despite a powerful winning streak. Another blow? No Yelich. He's out for the remainder of the season and playoffs with a broken kneecap. Even if you make it past the wild card, it'll be a very long road for the Brew Crew. Brace yourselves. And this leads us to our final slackers in the group, the Cubbies. I thought the Phillies were absolute trash, but then I look at Chicago and see they are just as shit. A team that fails so miserably in key moments, that overmanages everything to try and fix it only for their bats to flail at everything or accrue toot blands. I keep hearing that their bullpen has been one of the best in baseball as of late. I don't buy it. Not with the implosions and tightrope walking they've been doing all year. Years from now, sports historians from across the world will sit and ponder one question. How the fuck did this Cubs team not run with the division in July? Nothing but choking, and more choking. And it may cost you a playoff spot thanks to tripping into a landmine face first. Everyone in the world is laughing in Cardinal. Enjoy managing in Philly next year, Joe. The Diamondbacks are technically still a part of this, aren't they? Figured they were eliminated a week ago, but here we are. It's a near impossibility they're going to make it in, but I will shower praise on Ketel Marte for single-handedly carrying this team on his back for a month. Before he was shut down for the year by injury, I mean. Let's be honest, any unbelievable shot you had at the postseason was quashed when you were swept in 4 games by the Mets. They had dismantled too much and didn't have enough to replace their big guns. The question is, where do they go from here? I'd say keep blowing it up, but are you really that far off from the playoffs? Or will the Dodgers just keep their stranglehold on the division? Tough choices indeed. And that's the playoff push. This next week will be very, very interesting if sloppy as all hell in certain spots. I find it fascinating that the team that deserves to make a wildcard spot the most in the NL are the Mets. The rest just keep tripping over themselves. You know what? Make it, Mets. You may be all but done, but fuck it, why not? Burn everything down to the ground.
Center field. And Pilar puts it away. 2,000 for that man. There it is.